with your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Thursday, the 12th of December, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The Elections and Boundaries Commission, the EBC, admitted yesterday that the voters list is just over half of the 23 of the constituencies will be completed by early 2025 through its national field verification exercise, which began in mid-2023. Questions were sent to the EBC after both Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and Opposition Leader Kamala Bissessa raised concerns about the accuracy of the voters list during debate of the EBC 2024 report into its review of the constituency boundaries. Although the EBC report, which recommended boundary changes to 16 constituencies and name changes to 5, were accepted without amendments, Bissessa lamented that it had been more than 2 decades since the verification exercise was last conducted. In 2023, the EBC embarked on a national field verification exercise. It began last year, and Mrs. Bissessa, we've not had this exercise in 22 years. The last field exercise was in 2001, and we are dealing with data that determines elections and democracy, and the last one was 22 years ago. Dr. Rowley also expressed concern over the cleanliness of the voters list, saying the EBC is slow to remove people who have died. The Prime Minister said, quote, "We have to have a serious conversation with the EBC on the whole question on how this list is cleaned up, because if in 2000, 100,000 people came off, between then and now, it's possible another few tens of thousands should not be on that list." Dr. Rowley also questioned, as people move around the country or as populations grow, the EBC has the requirement to understand that and apply a formula to the list. That's what the EBC exists to do. Government and opposition both found common ground in the issues surrounding the accuracy of the EBC's voting list. Meaningful and productive is how Attorney General Reginald Lamour SC described the meeting held on Wednesday with stakeholders to get feedback relating to the operations of the Registrar General's sub-office in Tobago. Speaking at a news briefing held in Tobago yesterday, the AG explained Cabinet in the Office of the Attorney General also expressed the services provided by the department. He assured there have been no attempts to curtail the work of that department. From 4 p.m. today, Thursday, the United National Congress, the UNC, will screen nominees at its party headquarters in Chaguanas. The nominees will be screened for Arima, Aruka Maloney, Dabadi O'Meara, Lopino Bonnier West, and St. Augustine. The UNC says the public will be further advised as the party's screening process progresses. A 4.8 earthquake was recorded in Trinidad around 2:26 p.m. yesterday, Wednesday. The University of the West Indies Seismic Research Unit says the tremor had a depth of 32 kilometers. It said the quake was located 87 kilometers northwest of Port of Spain. In news of the region, Grenada's former Foreign Minister Peter David is calling on supporters of the main opposition New National Party to elect him as the party's new leader at a convention this coming Sunday. David, the Deputy General Secretary for the party, has been challenged for the post by Emmeline Peer, whose political observers say has the backing of the opposition leader, Dr. Keith Mitchell, who is not seeking to head the party, which he was a founding member of in 1989. NNP General Secretary Roland Bola confirmed David and Peer as the 2 candidates nominated to contest for the leadership of the party. In Britain, Downing Street says public sector workers will only get above inflation pay increases if they improve productivity. Unions have reacted with anger to proposals for a 2.8% pay increase for teachers, NHS staff, and senior civil servants next year. The British Medical Association said there was a very real risk of further industrial action if pay erosion was not addressed, while unions' Helga Pyle said the proposal was a bitter pill. Finally, Meta said Wednesday it is close to resolving a technical issue that caused widespread outages of its apps, including Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. WhatsApp and Instagram both confirmed outages via X, and many users were reporting they were unable to access Meta apps. The outage lasted more than 3 hours by around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Meta posted it was 99% on the way to having resolved the issues. And on an outage tracker site, Down Detector, where users can report issues, Instagram had logged more than 70,000 reports by mid-afternoon Wednesday. Facebook had logged up to 105,000 outage reports. Facebook Messenger, roughly 14,000. The Messenger app, WhatsApp, 12,500. Threads, the ex-competitor, also had an uptick in outage reports since Down Detector self-reported. It's likely it will not reflect the full extent of the issues. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Wednesday morning, neighbors. It is 12:12 equals 24. So good morning to you. That's the date, the 12th day, the 12th month, 2024. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show. It's all about the hours this morning. We just heard from Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Richard Ragoobarsingh. And we got Ruben, and then we got Shane in the mix as well. My name is Steve Khan. 23 degrees at both Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. The Met Office yesterday said today is going to be sunny and slightly hazy conditions. Will be interrupted by a few cloudy patches. There is a 30% low chance of the isolated heavy shower or thunderstorm. All right, that's what they said yesterday. See how that changes today. Traffic-wise, I have nothing to tell you about. Whoa, nothing. All right. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho. 13 days.
What are you calling a who?
Oh, geez, on ages. I was just going.
It's 3 who's you said, so.
Yeah, well, I work with you, Richard, and Wendell. So there you go. That will do it.
I guess that's
You'll agree. You say, yeah. Oh, boy. Good morning. Let's say good morning going to David Nelson and Oliver Warren. Good morning to you all. Hope you guys have a great day today. And good morning to all those watching us on M&E TV and whatever provider you have. Good morning to you. A lot of messages coming through on our board already. David Wares is in Gasparilla. Jeez. What time you woke up? 1 o'clock.
All the way there for doubles.
All the way down there for doubles. But you know, David Wares and Cheryl celebrated their anniversary, and they went to Tobago, and he had posted some stuff. I know David Wares for donkey years now, and they went to a place in Castara where they make bread from the clay ovens, the dirt ovens. So he bought it. They only do it once a week, I think he said.
He's a foodie.
Yeah, he's a foodie. He is a foodie. He goes around. He is a foodie. So I don't know how it tasted, but I guess it tasted really good.
12 days to Christmas.
13. Where you get 12 from? 13 days. I just said 13.
You don't count Christmas Day.
I'm going what Google says.
Okay? So if it's the 12th.
Yeah, somebody is saying here. Who's this? Michael from the UK is saying, good morning, gentlemen. I'm in Trinidad for Christmas. Nothing beats, well, welcome, and nothing beats a good Trini Christmas.
Yeah, I went to Lyman and Box Fell yesterday.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
I was with Wendell in his office. Quite spacious office. He didn't offer me anything to drink.
What? At Rumbox?
And at the Caribou on lunch, he offered me nothing to drink. I was there for over an hour. And he offered me absolutely nothing to drink. Quite inhospitable, that man. The Christmas season, you know. Mm-hmm.
But at least when you come to the Pet Butler, we offer you a drink.
They offer me anything to drink. in the season of merriment and generosity.
Shame. Shame on Wendell Stephen.
Yeah.
Shame.
You give me some good insider information, though.
Which you probably already knew.
Actually, no. Didn't know
What?
a lot of that stuff at all.
What?
It's P&M business now, so you know.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have the inside scoop on a lot of
He
those
has
things.
the inside scoop.
Mm-hmm.
He does.
I'll wait to see how much of it turns out to be true.
Yeah. Did he tell you when the election date is?
Well,
It
ends this year.
Well, we know that already.
Because
Today's
the
12.
EBC is saying that the voters list is just over half of the 23 constituencies and will be completed by early 2025 through its national field verification exercise. So if they only just over halfway through, it then come in January or February. Okay, so we're getting some insight into all of that, and both Dr. Rowley and Mrs. Pasal-Bissessar questioned the accuracy of the list because the last national field verification exercise took place 22 years ago, which I can't understand what the EBC is doing 22 years ago. And Dr. Rowley also asked about the cleanliness in quotations of the list. Think about it. 22 years ago, much people must be dead.
True.
Or people move from one constituency to another. So how accurate were the electors list for the last 3 elections? One has to ask oneself. And what is the EBC doing? One would imagine that should take place every at least 10 years. At least every 2 election cycles, they should carry out this exercise, this national field verification exercise, because in 10 years, so much changes, so many people die, so many new people come into the list. People move from constituency to constituency. Constituency populations change. So one has to ask oneself, what the heck is the EBC doing? 22 years? And both the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition both agreed that the EBC has some questions to answer.
Yes.
Well.
When do you think the election would be, Paul? I say in August, September.
I'm saying May.
May? All right.
Well, between May and August. Between May and August. May, June, July, August. Varying toward the end of that time period, though. But it could be as early as May or as late as August. I don't think it's going to go into September.
Okay, so I will go to August then. I'm guessing August.
Yeah, when was the last one held? Was it September election? I think when was the 2020 election?
Let me use trusty.
Somebody will send it.
Use trusty Google and find out.
I think it was September. Trinidad.
Oh yes.
August 10th, 2020.
Yeah.
So you see?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be between May and August next year. I think the Prime Minister will call the election just after Carnival. That will give us March, April, May, June. So you're within the time period.
And that election is
going to have a very long campaign period.
It's going to be so brutal, though, huh?
But it's done brutal already.
Exactly. So much less.
It's already quite brutal. It's going to get even more intense. So those are my predictions. And now that I've gotten this information about the EBC's readiness in terms of the electoral list, which I'm really disturbed to have found out in the newspaper this morning or heard yesterday that the last verification exercise took place 22 years ago. I mean, you know
Really?
what changes in 22 years? A whole human being born and could vote.
Yeah. Finish school and
You
everything.
realize that?
Work.
A whole human being born, went to early childhood care, went to primary, secondary school, in some instances finished university and could vote. And I think those exercises should be mandatory every 10 years.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you want to have an accurate list. You know, but are we sure that all the people on the list, because they're saying the list is, it was 700,000, is it? Or thereabouts?
Approximately.
But is that an accurate representation? When people die, people are born too. So people move into the list. So the question is the list more because people are living longer, generally, and people are being born and come of age to vote all the time. Every year, somebody turns a cadre of people turn 18.
Yes.
And they're eligible to vote. So EBC, get your act together. Okay. Did you feel the earthquake yesterday?
Not at all.
Neither me. This is very weird.
Yeah.
I think I may have just, I was in the newsroom. I'm sure I was in the newsroom, but I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, I didn't feel a thing. Well, they said it was a 4.8 at a depth of 32 kilometers. Now, if it was a depth of 10 kilometers, I'd definitely feel it. And a freak out. I do not like earthquakes.
And who likes earthquakes?
Yeah.
So I didn't feel it at all.
Yeah, I didn't feel it. That big earthquake we had, it took me, I don't
That
know,
was
3 or
something
4
else.
Yeah, I didn't calm down till like 11 p.m.
I always remember I was in Grand Bazaar in Extra Foods, and I started seeing things falling off of shelves, and I was very irritated because people are so bad behaved. They're pushing things and they're falling off the shelf, and then I turn around and see all the shelves shifting. I said, okay, well, this is not bad behaved people. This is an earthquake.
Yeah.
And then people started to scream, and then I just took a deep breath and said, this could be it. Good morning, Richard. Speaking of earthquake.
Yeah.
Good morning.
On
Yes,
cue.
I always make people shake when I enter. What earthquake was that in Trinidad?
Yes.
Yeah. At 2:26, 2:27, something there.
When
Yesterday
yesterday?
afternoon.
Yeah.
A 4.8.
But that wasn't felt in Arima at all.
No, it was more to the Port of Spain side, but I was in Port of Spain at that time in the office and didn't feel a thing.
Yeah, I didn't feel a thing.
I was saying, Richard, I visited Wendell yesterday at the Rum Box, and I wasn't offered a thing to drink all the time I was there.
Oh my God! Did you?
Yeah, terrible.
Did
We sat and we chatted for over an hour. It was quite an enjoyable interface, but I told him I was going to Hot Shop and I would pass. He said he didn't need any roti because someone already was bringing him lunch. There was a whole celebration in the yard of somebody's birthday.
Really?
Harper was in the back. Everybody was there.
I
And
didn't
I
get
ate my
something
roti
to
and
drink.
almost choked.
So he see you choking on your roti, and
Not even a glass of water.
he didn't say, "Look, let me get you something to drink."
Quite inhospitable.
Oh my goodness, that's very unlike.
In Rum Box,
That's very unlike my friend.
That I didn't think that he was that way inclined at all.
Unbelievable.
That's I know, but Wendell, the last time I was there,
I will have to hear his version of the event.
offered me a beverage.
Well, he has to invite Wendell, log on. Let's get
And we
this.
had libations. It was around Christmas time. I was so disturbed I didn't buy it. And I went with the intention to purchase some stuff, but I left in such a distraught state of mind after being treated so shabbily that I just forgot to buy anything. But I'll go back. I don't hold too much.
Shame on that.
I'm glad you say you don't toad too much. You couldn't have said the sentence,
the conversation was very, very enriching. So he made up for it there, He's a different person when he's off camera, He's quite engaging, On camera, he's so aggressive sometimes. When he's off, he's such a delightful chap.
What you see on is kind of like what you get off. I say what you see on is kind of like what you get off.
No. He was a lot more relaxed yesterday. but I don't know. It's unfortunate. Someone is asking, was there an island-wide power outage in Tobago last night? I didn't see a thing about that in the news this morning. I didn't see a thing on social media either. Okay. Adonna is saying, sending love to her husband, Trevor Panton. Trevor, we wish you a speedy recovery. Trevor is in hospital, apparently.
Oh, geez. Sorry to hear that.
Not the time of year you want to be in hospital at all. So we wish you all the best, Adonna, and to your husband and your family. So get well soon. No one wants to have one in hospital for Christmas. Yes, we were talking, Richard, about the revelation that the EBC said that the voters list is they've just confirmed just 23, a little over half of the constituencies. They said it will be completed by early 2025 in terms of their national field verification exercise. And both the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition both voiced concerns on Monday about the accuracy of the list, given the fact that that field exercise to verify who's on the list is actually alive and where they're supposed to be living, where they registered to vote, is 23 years ago, the last one. Isn't that ridiculous?
Believe that.
Yeah, because you would think that would be something that they would be doing consistently.
At least every 10 years.
Yeah.
At least every 10 years.
Yeah, and I mean, regardless of an election pending or not.
Or not.
Yeah.
They said that one of the challenges they have is recruiting staff willing to work in high-risk areas and difficulty meeting individuals to confirm their registration information. EBC, excuses. There's your work. There's your work. Okay?
Yeah.
That is your work. Stop making excuses and do the job. Because that the whole veracity of the election, the electors list is tied to the veracity of the election process, right?
Mm-hmm.
If people, and Dr. Rowley said it, if people died, you have to go and confirm whether they on the list and they died.
Yeah.
If people move from one constituency, and I know many people move out of areas but leave their voting address where they used to live before. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Sometimes at a family home, they leave it there, but they've moved to another area with their new family. So Una Antoine is saying the island wide, no lights. Una, is it still Tobago still without lights? The newspaper says nothing about that online this morning.
I didn't see anything.
Nothing about that online. It's very weird. And I didn't see anything on social media either.
Maybe a tree fell somewhere.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that at all.
Neither did I.
So, well, I mean, in some sad news, this was something that we mentioned yesterday in terms of Dion Marshall, a Ghanaian national who lived at Mount Pleasant, Arima, and who was
the Punchman.
Was the Punchman who was gunned down in Central Arima.
What is that about?
And well, there's no explanation at this point.
Yeah, nobody knows.
But it's a popular store. I just want to read a little bit of an article I'm seeing this morning. Marshall, affectionately known as the Punchman, was a well-known figure in the Arima community, admired by his entrepreneurial spirit and friendly behavior. Several of his customers who took to social media upon hearing of the news described him as hardworking and humble. Head of the Owner Dealers Association, Revel Chattergoon, expressed frustration at the increase in crime in the district. As a business person in Arima, this is always troubling to see that we almost have a murder a day in the district of Arima, where the police station of Arima overlooks. Well, I don't know that we have a murder a day, but I mean, any murder is one murder too much. He added that the borough has been struggling for years due to the failure to maintain security. Imagine plying your honest vending or business transaction and customers are fearful to even come to your establishment. Chattergoon also criticized the lack of visible policing in the area, particularly during the busy Christmas season. I thought that I would have seen a larger presence of joint patrols. Unfortunately, we are not seeing this, he added. He said, adding that issues such as counterfeit currency and other crimes disrupt the smooth operation of businesses. He called for increased resources and attention to Arima's security needs. it seems as though the voices are now dormant and nobody is saying anything. Police are yet to establish a motive for Marshall's killing. I read that because I think that's the sense of Aremians, that there is very little being said. The Arima Borough Council has become very silent. You don't see the mayor activating and talking about the issues of crime and what's going on in the Arima Central City Center area specifically, which is where a lot of people would commute or walk or drive down. And of course, you have problems in the city center of Arima. Not only the water problems that have plagued Arima for years, generations, that I would say, in that city center, which, to be fair to Wassa has been more on top of stuff and more communicative with regard to that issue. But you also have the issue of the Guanapo plant, which I know is under some level of improvement that will hopefully see a 24/7 hour supply eventually to the Arima City Center, which has never happened in generations. So you have restaurants and all sorts of stuff where water trucks pull up on every 3 days to provide water. It's that crazy. And this is Arima, the city center I'm talking about. I'm not talking about some far-flung area. I'm talking about the city center. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. You have the roads that are the Broadway heading to West, Broadway West, needs complete repairing. That road should have been repaired and repaired completely. That traverses in front of the Arima police station. The lights in those areas are terrible. And sorry, TNTech, but that new LED light that you have is terrible. I think you made a bad selection, because I think you all are going with white light when it should really be the kind of amber light, the warm light. The white light is less effective and too stark.
It's too stark.
Forget that. Do not put that light anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago, in my opinion. But
Richard, yourself and Wendell and others, people call us Arima, who have for years, this predates this new mayor, spoken about these issues in Arima. That's because you're a resident there and it affects you every day. And there's a kind of contempt I find. There's a level of contempt for the burgesses and the people, by people elected to do something, even in simple communications about what their plans are and even if they're facing challenges in getting funded to do stuff. There's a level of contempt that people are being meted out with, that you don't even feel as the mayor that you should put out a statement saying you're doing this, or Merry Christmas, burgesses, or yes, I understand you have issues in this area working in it. There's a level of contempt I don't understand that comes from many of those local government bodies that is astounding to me. And then there's one to come back around in 4 years and say, vote for me and we will do something. Let me tell you something, is I want people to run them,
Mm-hmm.
I want people to run them and cost them,
I'm sure some people do in some areas, yeah. But Arima, you see, a lot of Central Arima family, especially if you're looking at families in Central Arima and going up, if you're heading further down south and if you're heading further north, going into Calvary and Mount Pleasant and stuff like that, these are all Jean Arima. These are people who've been there for generations.
Nobody's fighting for you.
And nobody is,
nobody's fighting.
It's astonishing that the borough is just left to exist in a particular kind of way. How long I've been talking about even Bernadette, who doesn't live Arima, she lives in Alcata. And Bernadette says when she takes a taxi and she's driving straight down to the main street of Arima, she said, Richard, it's so dark. I said, but Bernadette, you know how many times I've brought this up? And she said, yes, it's ridiculous. It is so dark. So many street lights have blown.
For people, for what should be basic upkeep of the places people have to live and traverse and move with their families to get their life chores done. It's a level of contempt that I don't understand why people in Trinidad and Tobago, regardless of political affiliation, accept
Yeah.
I don't understand it because there are people of all political affiliations in Arima, like every of the other boroughs or regions, and they just accept this substandard delivery of services and take all kind of dotish, meaningless excuses. Simple things. You can't tell me up to like you have lights is a security issue.
And
That's
Dean Marshall, but not only that, Paul.
Or not.
Not only that, Paul. Dean Marshall is murdered because there are several punch men late at night where you can get stuff, and of course there are even some 24/7 small booths like little mini groceries in Central Arima. There are 24/7. And this is Central Arima. This is not that far from the Arima police station. And not only that, Arima has two police stations. You have the Arima Borough Police and you have the Arima National Police.
Why would you accept this substandard service?
And it comes back, and I'm also coming back, and because there are cameras, so I assume they must have footage. And in addition to which, well, assuming the cameras are working, and in addition to which, you have the connected Arima now, because the Arima is now a smart city, according to IDB and the Arima Borough Council and the representative for Arima in Parliament, Penelope Beckles-Robinson, who no longer lives in Arima.
That could be a problem to her.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, she no longer lives in Arima, even though she has an office, and I assume she attends to.
You're not required to live in the borough, so they don't.
Yeah, you're not required to live where you represent, which to me is wrong.
It's wrong. It's part of the problem because you don't have to face the day-to-day issues that the people that you're supposed to represent are facing.
Yeah. So. And even with the connected Arima, which has not been articulated, I have not seen any PR about the smart city status of Arima. There is no sign, for example, that says Arima is now a smart city. There is no pushing out of PR concerning the issue. So the marketing of it is terrible. In addition to which, what is the benefit of being a smart city with regard to security issues? With regard to security, are you going to enhance, from a digital perspective, security within the area where the smart city extends to in various innovative ways, whatever other smart cities do? There is no conversation happening. It was launched, they did a walk, and the only reason I know of all of this is because the minister herself spoke to me about it.
You know, one of the things I know is embedded in the local government reform bill is that the corporations and the mayors are supposed to every month meet with the burgesses. But think about how much of that has been proclaimed, despite assurances from the Prime Minister the last time we spoke to him last year around this time, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Who said it will be fully proclaimed by January 24. And I mean, just nothing. Nothing.
It just gets me upset that it just seems so neglected. I don't know if it is that politicians see Arima as a safe seat in certain ways, but even in the local government election, Central Arima was closer. The PNM won it by one voter. The city center, by one vote. And I don't know why that doesn't spur some level of urgency, even if you're looking at a political level, in terms of enhancing the borough of Arima. But I speak in borough, but I write over in city center. But of course, the borough itself, which is more extensive, has even more issues. But that's what I'm looking at. And you know, there was something so wonderful last year. What was wonderful last year around Christmas time. Now, this has nothing to do with the Arima Borough Council, for once. This really has to do with the Santa Rosa Park and more the Roman Catholic priest, whoever's the parish priest in that area. There was this parang Christmas celebration that they had in the Santa Rosa Park. it was one of the few events in Arima where you saw so many of the Arima Central City area people and people who you grew up with and people from what they would call Jarim that came out to that event with people selling pastels, people selling. It was just so wonderful and
It's a community builder.
Choirs from different schools that was singing, and the park, Santa Rosa Park, was packed with people. It was such a wonderful. And when I was there, I went down and I was there for a while walking around. And I said, you know what, they should do this every year. It was such a wonderful feeling. It, not happening this year.
They're community builders.
Yeah, not happening this year. Just did not happen because the priest changed. The priest has now, the priest who did it, who was Nigerian, I believe, by the way, who spurred that kind of a thing, was very loved because they had a whole celebration for him going off. There's now a new priest. It's gone, it's done. I don't know if it's a new priest to blame or it's just nothing. And I'm like, why can't we keep anything that is, as and make something traditional, because it will grow and grow and grow. Huh? That was just the first year that they did it, and it was so wonderfully attended, and people were so positive about it.
Shall we open the phones? Phone lines open. Meta had an outage yesterday. A couple people were calling me and saying, can you get WhatsApp? I said, no, there's clearly some sort of outage. I couldn't get calls through or messages through. So WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook had issues yesterday afternoon. But I think they've resolved the issues as at last night. Did you see?
That's why I was, because I was in a particular group on Facebook and it irritated me yesterday, and I decided I'm exiting the group, and I couldn't exit the group.
Yeah.
I couldn't exit. I'm trying to exit. I'm clicking exit, leave group, unfollow group. I do all of that. Can't do that at this time. And I said, my first default reaction was, oh my God, have I been hacked by this group?
Yeah, that's the first thing you want if something happened to you.
I can't leave this damn group.
Yeah. We have a call here, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Two issues. I don't hear you talking about Shogunas, so I guess none of you be in the Shogunas area.
That's what we have you for.
I went to pardon me?
That's what we have you for.
Okay, great. So I went to the city of Shogunas yesterday and was so disappointed. Let me use that word. The decorations that somebody or the corporation, I'm not sure who's responsible, choose to line the streets of Shogunas with was a 4-inch piece of pipe with 2 elbows on the top, wrapped with a red ribbon. So that's supposed to represent, I guess, the lolly, the red and white lolly. That was it. No lights, no nothing. That was it on the left and right side of Shogunas. I also went to San Juan. I had to go to San Juan yesterday.
And you passed by the Pet Butler?
The Pet Butler is in San Juan?
El Scoro Road.
St. James.
El Scoro Road. No, that's Rumbox.
I will pop in next time. I have to go today again, so I'll pop in today.
Yeah.
Something I noticed significant, and I made a video and I sent it to the MP, Ms. Vandana Mohit. It's something that I complained about in Shogunas. In Shogunas, from the bridge, from the flyover, as you enter Shogunas to the police station, there is no garbage bins. Right? What I noticed significantly different about San Juan, from San Juan Junction all the way down to almost 6th Avenue, every 100 feet there's a garbage bin on the left and the right of the street. So I made a video highlighting that about the difference in Shogunas and San Juan, sent it to the mayor. Well, I know the councillor are responsible for that, and I sent it to the mayor and the MP. And I've complained about that for months, that there's no garbage. When you buy something in Shogunas to eat and you have to dispose the bottle, the paper, whatever, for somebody like me who don't like to litter, I had to hold on to that till I go into somebody's store and have a garbage bin in the store. That way I could dispose of it. Right? So I hope this falls on the right ears and they do something about it. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Richard was Arima on the list for property tax. They collect money and you are not seeing anything done. What they do with the money, how much money they get here, how much money they get there. I am waiting 25 years for a turning point. Nobody ain't come to dig up no soil here yet. What they do with the property tax money, I hardly goes out these days because it sickens me to see how the city of San Fernando just stink and nasty. You all have a
You
good
haven't been to
day.
Port of Spain in a while.
You
No,
know,
I don't.
and that's a fundamental problem,
Thank you,
you
San
know,
Fernando.
San Fernando, because cities and towns and village centers should be areas that people who live there should be proud of. You know, you should be proud of your city. You should be proud of your town. You should be proud of wherever you live and say, oh, wow, I am so glad I live in this area. Look how beautiful it is. Look how wonderful it is. I can walk my dog. I can walk down the road. And that's what cities sell. And that's what towns across the world sell. And there's so many towns and cities across the road that people celebrate how proud they are to live in their cities and towns. Are you proud as a Trinidadian and Tobagonian about your respective city, town, or village and how it looks? Maybe there are some areas of Trinidad that are very satisfied with it. I am not satisfied with Arima. I remember once those black poles that used to have globes on top of them that lit up, all of the globes have disappeared mysteriously. I tried to find out from different people, including Arima Borough Council workers, what happened to those bulbs. They say, some of them get break, and I think all of them break up where they were storing it. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to marinate that. But let's go on. I remember speaking to the previous mayor about, well, why don't you put, clamps and have these pots or baskets with flowers and stuff to enhance the city center, to make it look even more beautiful with shrubbery and flowers on the posts, because Arima has a huge horticultural community. The reply was, yeah, you go in and pay for it. You go in and maintain it. I say, thank you. You have a good day.
Good.
And that's how our local government officials think.
Hello? Yeah.
Morning. Any one of you all know there is a antique train on the promenade in San Fernando?
Big what?
An
A
antique
train.
train in the promenade. And same thing in Port of Spain. We have one in Port of Spain too.
Right, but what I'm trying to say, I think the last mayor fenced it and it from the vagrants going inside and lying down there. He fenced it nice, it's looking nice. You know, this mayor move the fence, open doors, and have people selling inside there instead of protecting it. As an old galvanized here to protect them from the rain, our old tarpaulin here. Why open it? Why open it? I am so frustrated at San Fernando. The market, the last mayor, I told him, yeah, put some white line on the street so people could come down the street, park for at least a 15 minutes and go in the market. He never did it. This one come and make some 12-inch thing like, those things they used to have steel and pan pushing on. He line in front of the market with that. I don't know how the vendors will save doesn't get any customers. Nowhere to park, get a drive around. It's just a hot mess. Nobody talking to nobody in San Fernando. So they put those things for the vendors when they move them from High Street. The vendors never use it, so vagrants sleeping on it, and the market lined with these huge steel structures that you can't even park and go in the market to buy a tomato.
Well, I know someone from San Fernando and shares your sentiments. That train is the last train to San Fernando.
Yes, if you see, listen, man, they're not thinking. Nobody asking, nobody nothing. I can't even get an appointment to see the mayor. Is a year and 3 months now are waiting to highlight these things that probably nobody's seeing it. I need to move somewhere else.
All right. Thank you. That she shares your sentiments regarding
Your
Neil
papers.
Fernando and San Fernando.
And let's have the Guardian.
It's
I've been very lackadaisical these
Thursday.
last few days.
Really, you think?
Okay.
It's Thursday, the 12th of December. You think? After you put on this arrogant daily, but of course I have papers all the time. Why would you ask that? Let's start with the Express. Two-phase probe over delay at Registrar General's Tobago office. All three tribes would have won if bill allowed. Duke Farley should apologize. UNC stands in Tobago's way again. Landlord guilty of raping tenant. Wow.
What?
Fourth year. A sentence in St. James man next week after he was found guilty of raping one of his tenants 12 years ago. 14,000 banned but driving. There are 14,000 drivers who are not supposed to be on the roads of TNT because they've exceeded their demerit point limits. Kamla, optimistic over PM's request for CARICOM observers. Princestown Cemetery is running out of space. And free park and ride shuttle returns to downtown San Fernando. Richard?
All right, so I'll do the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. And of course, today is Thursday, December 12th. The main headline on the front page of the TNT Guardian this morning, EBC off target. And that's the Elections and Boundaries Commission, for those of you who didn't know, hopes to verify voters list in 23 constituencies by early next year, funding a challenge. So they're talking about money, basically. And the Chief Elections Officer, Ferdinand Narcis Scope, is on the front page with an inset photo. Other sub-headlines, Cal pilots sign off on 5-year pay deal. And the main picture is that of the magic of Christmas. 5-year-old Aliyah Ali, dressed in a festive Santa dress and reindeer antlers, beams with joy and awe as she plays with sparkling Christmas lights at C3 Center, Carnith, San Fernando yesterday. Best decorated places are probably the malls and in front of the central bank, or in front of the central bank.
I love seeing that.
And some private decorations are really spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
So that's on the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. Let me go to the sports pages, basically. So the back page. So the main headline in the back page is, okay, I'm taking a little while to get it. York gets first test as Soca Warriors face Saudi Arabia in friendly. That's the main story on the back page. The main picture is that of Red Stars. Euros Pagic Wright challenges AC Milan's Yunus Musa during the Champions League opening phase football match between AC Milan and Red Star Belgrade. Trevina Zebzada at the San Siro Stadium in Milan, Italy yesterday. Of course, AC Milan won 2-1. So that's it for the front and the back of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian.
Let's move to the news day now. U.S. defense leader Caribbean faces growing threats. U.S. can put troops in TNT. Government signs agreement as White House ups pressure on Maduro. And Trump in office yet, yeah? AG boosts Tobago Registrar Office, says feelings not government's fault. Talpa signs collective bargaining agreement with Cal. Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
UNC continues election screening today, December 12th. NGC first LNG cargo since restructure shipped. Bayside High School students wins Chief Secretary's art competition. Congratulations to the young lady. Rhythm and Soul to jumpstart Tobago Easter buzz. I'm seeing a picture of Buju Banton. I don't know if that means that he's going to be performing. Saudi Arabia named hosts for 2034 FIFA World Cup. Soca Warriors named squad to face Saudi Arabia on December 17th. Counter-trafficking unit expects more convictions of human traffickers. And those are trending stories in your Guardian, Express, and Newsday online for today, December 12th, 2020.
Of course, in terms of good news from the industrial relations point of view, Cal Pilots signed an agreement with the management of Caribbean Airlines.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, so that's that's good news. The AG also says government is going to the drawing board with the autonomy bills, of course, Watson Duke is quoted as saying that all of Tobago must decide on our relationship with Trinidad. Not from our interview, but from apparently Logos 2 or that book.
Yeah, docked in Scarborough a couple of days ago.
It's coming here in December in Trinidad.
And of course, Wendell Mitchell is rumored to be
Labrie?
the PNM's representative for the Labrie seat. At least his name is circulating after the current representative was rejected. So they're his name is circulating.
Yeah. All right. Let's get the results of our morning poll where we asked you yesterday, should the TNT children in Syria be brought home? That was our poll. Simple. 73%. 73 said yes. Let's get into this morning's poll.
I have two possible questions.
All right. You hear him typing away.
We still have to do one of whether, which we never did, about whether we think that Dwight York will make a difference as the new coach of Trinidad and Tobago football team. Or do you think he will make a difference in getting us to the World Cup? At some point, we could do that poll.
We can do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have two possible questions.
Let's hear.
One, based on Richard and my conversation this morning, are you getting satisfactory service or services from your local government representative? That's one. And two, will you be voting in the 2025 general election?
I like the first one.
Will you be voting is another one of those polls that you can have in your back pocket when you struggle.
Oh yeah, we could have it several times rolling around.
That's what you could pull out and say, okay, let's do this poll today.
So choose the first one?
Yeah. So the first one is fine. Are you?
All right. The poll, Rich?
Yeah. Are you getting satisfactory services from your local government representative?
Yeah.
I might have asked, are you satisfied with how your city center or town center looks? Are you proud of your city or town center? Is what I would maybe have asked that. But we could go that way, that's fine.
All right. And there it is on the screen. Are you getting satisfactory services from your local government representative? Or is it representatives? Yes or no? I know the answer to this one. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Well, no.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Gasparello said absolutely no, no, no.
Thank you, Gasparello. Let's see if we get a Claxton Bay. We're in San Fernando. We're going Gasparello, Claxton Bay. Anybody? All right. We have some votes already. Boy Bedesi says no. Josie Richardson, no. DL, no. Lennon Roberts, no. Okay, somebody says a big fat no from Arima. Captain Ron, no. Roger Seawing, no. Sangre Grande.
Good morning, Sangre Grande. My answer is triple no.
All righty. No. Marvin Connor, big no. Rennie Devines, no. Adonna Clark, no. Andre, no. Arch Nemesis, no. Brent Hackshaw, no. Are you getting satisfactory services from your local government representatives? Yes or no? Gloria Gray in South Oropouche, no.
Yeah, what we live into?
Yeah, put the area as well when you message it, so we know. Trini get fit? Yes. Lori? No. Joanne Samuel? No. Yeah, let's see what area you're messaging us from. Merle's Kitchen. What for breakfast, Merle? No. A big no, says Merle. All right. 222-8255. North Americans, toll free. 866-525-1099. WhatsApp 318-1021. Facebook, YouTube. All right. Let's see. Up north. No. Are you getting satisfactory services from your local government? Yes or no?
Your local government representatives.
Representatives, yes.
So 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on the streaming platform.
Trini
send your vote.
said yes, sir. So
who?
I saw Trini Gets Fit said yes, and then Trini Gets Fit said no. So I don't know which one it is.
Yeah. Pick one, Trini Get Fit. Jay out in Blue Basin, Diego Martin. No. Julia Esbati, somewhere in Trinidad and Tobago. No. Tell us where you're messaging us from. Dexter Ramnaretz. No. Christine from St. James. Hello, Christine. Christine says no. Let's see. Christine says no. Wayne Lala says no. Slick Money Grip in Port of Spain. No. Sexy San Fernando says no. Julia Espetis from Maracas, St. Joseph. Oh, you voted. Yeah, you voted no already. Right, lovely. David Wares out in Diego Martin. No, says David. Morning, Cheryl. Anderson Matthews out in Chicagonas. No. Vincent in the UK. Locally from Aruca. But he says yes. All right. All right. Keep voting. Keep voting. Keep voting.
Are you getting satisfactory services from your local government representatives? That's our poll this morning. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. Absolutely toll free. WhatsApp, 868-318-1021.
Are you getting satisfactory services from your local government representative or representatives? Yes or no? All right. Let's see. Ron M. No. Thank you, Ron M. At least some of you are telling us where you're messaging us from.
That's a good. Yeah, this is a kind of poll that you'd want to know, kind of like where people from, because the.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of the area.
All right. Arch Nemesis. Okay, Merle's Kitchen. Oh, Merle's Kitchen in Oshawa. Those in like Anthony and so on in Toronto. Merle is having whole wheat toast and scrambled eggs, tofu, and a cup of peppermint tea. Okay. Trini Get Fit says from Labre, her vote was no. She had a yes and a no. Now it's no. Vaughn Drayton in Malabar, no. Ron Emmers from Grandy. Beauty Culture from Malabar says yes. Lori in Tunapuna says no. Lord, Lori, I wanted to pass for Lovey's roti the other day, but I didn't have time. Royalty Forever, no. Marcia Rock in Orlando, but locally from Pitty Valley, no. All right, get those votes going, and we'll do it again in the next hour. All right, let's get into 7 o'clock major news. Here he is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The EBC admits that the voters' list is just over half of the constituencies will be completed by early 2025. AG describes as productive discussions with stakeholders on operational issues at the Registrar General Sub-Office in Tobago. The NTA calls for electoral reform, transparency in polling station shifts, and respect for CARICOM observer. And the police investigate the shooting death of popular punchman in Arima. Details in a moment. This is News 2, 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sitil-Bab. Good morning. The EBC admitted yesterday that the voters' lists in just over half of the constituencies will be completed by early 2025 through its national field verification exercise, which began in mid-2023. Questions were sent to the EBC after both Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and opposition leader Kamala Persad-Basasa raised concerns about the accuracy of its voting list during the debate on the EBC 2024 report into its review of the constituency boundaries. Although the EBC report, which recommended boundary changes to 16 constituencies, was accepted without amendments, Persad-Basasa lamented that it has been more than 2 decades since the verification exercise was last conducted. Dr. Rowley also expressed concern over the cleanliness of the voters' list, saying the EBC is slow to remove people who have died. He said as people have moved around the country or as populations grow, the EBC also has the requirement to understand and to know that and apply it to the formula and the list. However, while the government and opposition have found common ground on issues surrounding the accuracy of the EBC's voting list, the Commission blamed the Finance Ministry for failing to provide the funding to rectify the problem. The EBC said other challenges include difficulty recruiting staff willing to work in high-risk areas, difficulty meeting individuals to confirm their registration information, hesitancy from individuals to speak with field investigators, and the time-consuming exercise of verifying the survey data. The National Transformation Alliance welcomes the confirmation CARICOM election observers will be present for the upcoming general election. NTA believes their presence strengthens transparency, deters electoral misconduct, and ensures public confidence in the outcome. It suggests that modernizing the electoral system is essential to ensure that every vote counts and no political party governs without majority support. It noted this will guarantee every citizen is represented fairly within the system of governance, aligning with the core values of democracy. From 4 p.m. today, the United National Congress will screen nominees at its party's headquarters, 31 Merchant Suchin Road, Chaguanas. The nominees will be screened for Arima, Aruka Maloney, Darby O'Mara, Lopino Bonia West, and St. Augustine. UNC says the public will be further advised as the party's screening process progresses. Meaningful and productive is how Attorney General Reginald Armour describes a meeting held Wednesday with stakeholders to get feedback relating to the operations of the Registrar General Sub-Office in Tobago. Speaking at a news briefing held in Tobago, the Attorney General explained the Cabinet and the Office of the Attorney General have expanded the services provided by the department. He assured there have been no attempts to curtail the work of the department.
We had very candid discussions about the shortcomings in management oversight, staff challenges of the Tobago Office of the Registrar General's Department, and service delivery as an extension of the foregoing. So for birth certificates, 8,485 certificates were printed. For marriage certificates, 1,538 certificates were printed. And for death certificates, 3,829 given.
It was revealed there will also be improved and better coordination with the information technology systems between both islands, adding that the Cabinet intervened in August this year to improve and ensure capacity building in Tobago.
We are hoping to have a suite of computers and hardware in Tobago office to be able to operate the software and to have someone who is going to be the permanent ICT person in Tobago who will be able to give that limited control access to the operating software of the Registrar General software that serves all of Trinidad and Tobago. And it goes back to the point of the security of the systems of the Registrar General's operations.
Progressive Democratic Party political leader Watson Duke says Farley Augustine's comments comparing the Prime Minister to a house slave after the defeat of the Tobago autonomy bills on Monday is unfortunate. Duke told the Power Breakfast Show on Wednesday morning the comments betray the level of trust that is had in the Chief Secretary's office.
I think it's disrespectful. It betrays the level of trust we have in the position as Chief Secretary. The Chief Secretary ought to be a diplomat. He ought to understand the language of diplomacy. The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister. One would understand if he was a trade unionist and he made that statement out of anger, disgust, or whatever. But as a politician to the next, one who is leading Tobago, which is a ward of Trinidad and Tobago, and he is leading Trinidad and Tobago, you have to be careful how you address the Prime Minister.
Duke said in politics there must be a level of diplomacy. He said the comments did not in any way represent the view of Tobagonians. The PDP leader insisted the office of the Prime Minister and also the opposition leader must always be respected. Asked whether or not he believed Augustine should apologize for his comments, Duke said that he should try to make amends at this point.
He should desist from making such statements, and whether he did it publicly or not, he should try to make amends, because he has definitely put a blow to that relationship that was not necessary. Remember, the Prime Minister is responsible for all of Trinidad and Tobago by law. He's fully responsible for Tobago too, which is a subset of Trinidad and Tobago. And you cannot fly in a man's face and say, hey, he's a house slave. You know, I mean, he didn't say it directly, but he inferred that by his message. And I think that he has to be a little more tactful than that. I mean, he's young, but he's reckless also with that youthfulness.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. A 4.8 earthquake was recorded in Trinidad around 2:26 p.m. on Wednesday. The University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center says the tremor had a depth of 32 kilometers. It says the quake was located 87 kilometers west-northwest of Port of Spain. Police are investigating the shooting death of popular punchman Dion Marshall, who was killed at his small business outlet in Arima yesterday. 45-year-old Marshall, the owner of Mixed Master Punch Bar on Queen Street, Arima, was shot multiple times by a gunman. According to preliminary reports, he was at his place of business, but at around 8 p.m., a gunman walked up to him and opened fire. No motive has been established for his killing. Marshall is said to be a Guyanese national who resided at Mount Pleasant in Arima. The circumstances surrounding his shooting are currently under investigation. And for weather news now, for the period today till midnight, Trinidad and Tobago fair to partly cloudy with showers over a few areas. There's also the low to medium chance of the odd heavier shower or thunderstorm. Nighttime will be mostly settled except for the isolated shower, gusty winds, and street or flash flooding can occur near heavy downpours. Expect a temperature of 31 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point, Tobago. Currently, the temperature is 24 degrees Celsius at both localities. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the EBC admits that the voters list in just over half of the constituencies will be completed by early 2025. The Attorney General describes as productive discussions with stakeholders on operational issues at the Registrar General sub-office in Tobago. The NTA calls for electoral reform, transparency in polling shifts, and respect for CARICOM observer. And the police investigate the shooting death of popular punchman in Arima. I'm Avril Sindhill-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. Of course, you can join her again at 8 o'clock for a news brief. Okay. Quick looking at the highways and byways, just some volume. Got no accidents to tell you about at this time. All right, so let's get back to our morning poll. Let's see if we got any more votes. Are you getting satisfactory services from your local government representative or representatives? Let's see. I did Marcia Rock. Okay. Admiring Kongshel from Karapachaima says no. All right, thank you. And that's it there. Let's check WhatsApp. We have David Nelson say no. And Michael out in Deep South in Point says yes. Right, that's all I got.
Right, so the poll this morning was, are you getting satisfactory services from your local government representative? We had 44 people voting on the poll this morning in the allotted time. And of the 44 people voting in the allotted time, 40 of you said no, you are not getting satisfactory services from your local government representatives, which is across Trinidad and Tobago, basically, people voting from. So 40 people said no, and 4 people said yes. So 4 people said yes, and 40 people said no, for a total of 44 in terms of our votes this morning. Yeah, so there you have it. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day through all programming, and we give you the final result tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's going to be on our website at power102fm.com. If not, our mobile app, which you should have by now. All right, just look for Power 102 Digital. Right, you can do that. Lincoln just snuck in and said no.
Yeah, so you can.
I didn't know my representative, so I can't even vote. I saw them once when they were campaigning.
Or they came across them.
Well, for Barataris, Saddam Hussein.
Local government.
That's your parliamentary rep.
Yeah, and I forgot this girl's name.
Your local government representative.
Yeah. I forgot her name.
That's my point. Ask anybody if they know.
The guy's relative.
What I'll say Rima is good at in terms of the automatic, but the everyday things like picking up garbage, yeah, you would see that being on a certain level of efficiency. And, cleaning up little parts of the roadway and stuff like that, you see that happening. But in terms of any beautification, any plans for the development or beautification of the city center, zero. Lighting, which I know is not a Rima Borough Council, but certainly you can advocate for it. It's a TNTech issue. And TNTech it's a city center, so you should really be lobbying for that. And as I said,
but Richard, a lot of times, because the local government represents the person who's on the ground interfacing with the burgesses and people, they're the ones who have to act as a coordinating body to advocate for those things,
Yeah.
That's the person who could actually call the MP. The MP is the step up that you want to get something done. You understand? Because it's supposed to be a working relationship between the MP and the local government body. Not so?
Well, ideally, they don't necessarily always get along, though.
Yeah, but they're not required to get along, they're required to work together.
Yeah, so. But I know that comes into it. I'm not saying that problem exists now, but I know that there have been times when there has been a certain, I don't know what to call it now. I don't want to say it's an ego standoff, but
it is an ego position most of the time. This is my terrain. You can't tell me what to do here. Stay in your lane. For 2-4.
Yeah.
Mind your business. Do what you have to do and let me do what I have to do. Shall we take some calls?
Yeah, we'll take some calls. Right, got some coming through. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I've been trying to get you all since Friday, but when I call you all, you all have a poll question to call back. But I see a poll question on now. Should I speak or call back?
Okay.
No, you can speak.
Talk about what you want to talk about then.
Okay, what happened was, gentlemen, I called on Friday when the issue of the march and Saturday by the trade unions were coming up.
Right.
And you told to call back, but I saw you had Ozzy Warwick as his name from OWTO on subsequent to that response. I had an issue with the march in that I wanted to find out, and I didn't see anybody ask the question, what are the compensation package for those trade union leaders? Because I was once a trade unionist / general council member, and when I left, one of the trade union leaders will get closer to the $1,000 a month plus perks. I want to believe that now they get closer for the $1,000. And they have one primary objective, that is to bring in workers for better terms and conditions. And most of them are just have a membership about 20,000 for the most. But they're comparing that to a person who has to run a country. And they're saying that it's obscene and what have you. You have to take that in context. I think one of you all asked Mr. Warwick about having a Labour Party, and he said there's one right now, the MSJ. The MSJ is one man. And the MSJ for over 10 years now cannot even field 5 persons in a local government election. And finally, and the Tobago issue with the self-determination and all that goes with that. People in this country want to be in power. That's my view. They really don't care about the citizenry. They want to be in power because they want to get the purse strings of the very Father Augustine, whether it's UNCOP and them people want the purse strings of the resources of the country. They're really not particular about the citizenry. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for allowing me to speak on the program. Have a good day.
All right. All the best to you. Good morning. Oopsie. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
I just made a video walking from the Tropical Angel House Spaniard to Enterprise Street in the community of Enterprise and checked 10 open manholes. That was
Don't even start with that.
Somebody threw a pallet in it. Somebody threw a cone in one. And that is not the ones that halfway broken that you could, or above the ground that somebody who is wheelchair bound, and there are a couple of people with on those portable scooters in this community. And there are 10 in, let's say, a 400 meter, is definitely less, I'm being generous, 100 meter span, open manholes. And that has been that way for years. I just decided to highlight it and send it to the councillor and the MP. And what the MP and the councillor are saying is that the local government is not responsible for that.
And that's what you get it's not me, it's them.
Yes, they're passing the buck. Well, I know it's definitely central government because what they say, and they have acknowledged this, the main road is their responsibility. Side roads and things is local government, right? But at this point, I don't really care. I just need the area to be properly things so that children don't fall in manhole when they walk in the night. Man, old ladies, old man, the disabled people could walk the street and not slip and fall in a manhole.
But even if Lincoln, even if that road is the responsibility of the main government, let's go down that road that they say, hey, that's a main road, so that's the responsibility of the Ministry of Works, which is what I suppose they're saying. You are the representative. Where's that road? That road is in the borough of Chaguanas, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So therefore, the representatives of the borough of Chaguanas should be proactive and be energized about their job to lobby the Ministry of Works to say, hey, this is a road in my area and it comes under your remit. Can you kindly
the response that I have gotten from the councillor and the MP is to quote the MP, we have been begging for that. To quote the councillor, they have wrote about that several times. So I'm if what they're saying is accurate, I know they are doing their part. They have highlighted the proper the relevant authorities that this is the problem. from what they are saying, from what they responded to me. They have done what they're supposed to do and have done it more than once. The MP has said they have been begging for these things to be fixed a long time now, to be fair to them. So I am saying that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. But when I know for a fact, when you call the corporation in Chaguanas to fix a manhole or a pothole or something like that, a pothole, sorry, we have no material, the truck down, the this, the that, and I would imagine those are the excuses to get anything done. This is why I said when I said what I said when they were lobbying for property tax and lobbying for local government. I like to quote Wendell: local government is a hoax, right? Because they always have some excuse why they can't do what they are mandated to do, right?
Okay.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right. Have a good one. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Two things. A lot of people have been asking for the return of the children from Iraq and stuff. Now that is good and that is very humane, because I mean, you're talking about children coming back to the country that belong to Trinidad and Tobago. But the children that left here is not children anymore. And the people that want people to come back, I don't know how they're going to do it, because in my mind, the kind of reintegration you need to put back these people in our society. Some of the people that is calling for these people to come back, will they accept these children playing with their children, living next door to them, or sitting in the same class with the children, or the people that the parents that have been abroad living next to them and that kind of stuff. The kind of psychosis that these children's mind have been exposed to. We're not sure what is going on, how to deal with that. That is a big thing before you could do something like that. So people just calling and saying, bring them back and bring them back. It is not that the children that left and the children that born there is not the same children that would have left here as children, regardless that they knew. We know that they weren't responsible. But the kind of things that could have been done to their mind, that is not an easy thing to deal with. And second, Tobago. I was listening, I was trying to get on, I don't know if I was hoping only answered you. He was talking about the airport, that the bill and he increasing the airport. But if Mr. Duke and D had allowed Sanders to be built in Tobago, you know what kind of support that would have been for that airport? The kind of support it would have been for that airport that they're going to build it. It would have been tremendous for tourism. And lastly, this Tobago autonomy, a lot of the people in Tobago don't understand when they're talking about getting the taxes from Tobago and stuff. If you want your own autonomy and you be by yourself, what is starting from with the exploration for oil and all that kind of thing? If you want your own taxes and your own this and your own that, that is a big fee. That takes years, 20, 30 years to put in place to really get to deal with. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All righty. Thank you so much. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
What the reporters need to do when they are interviewing these union leaders, ask them what their salary is, and let's see if they're going to answer. That's all, because people speculating. I think I'm going to go to the where you go for the Freedom of Information Act. And somebody said you could go there and get it. So I think I'll do that next time I'm going into border Spain. To the councillors, maybe the councillors are saying like what
Freedom of Information Act would not apply to union.
The powers you feel I have, I don't. Because I just heard the guy said what my councillor told me in Diego Martin here. The drains, I'm still waiting for those drains, for those trees in the drain to cut in the Diego Martin River. She said to me, the borough, because we are now a borough, is not responsible for the drains. It's the Ministry of Works Drainage Department. What I did, I don't leave things there. She said that to me. I went to see my MP on Tuesday morning. I carried my pictures. I showed him what is going on in the river. And he, in front of me, he made a call. So I hope I don't have to wait like Dorothy to get those trees cut before Christmas, because Western Police walked the river last week, Wednesday or Thursday. And they said to our street captain, we need to put cameras at the back of our house facing the river, so that will be their eyes. He said, because you can't see what is going on in the river, and the bandits walk down in the river, which we know, and then they jump your wall. I said to her, I said, before we put cameras, I said, because my backyard, I could put a camera, but my backyard will be picking up only the trees that grow up above my wall from the river. So first, before we put cameras in our backyard, on our wall, we need to get those trees cut. So I wait to see what results my visit to my MP will bring. That's what you have to do. Walk it. The councillor said, and if she had the power, go to your MP, right? Because when time for voting, they come in and they asking if you know are waiting. You'll have. And last night I saw a town meeting from the UNC, and I heard Dr. Lakram Boudou, the MP for Faizabad, saying how we people not supposed to be waiting to get a CT scan and an MR. You should be able to do that during the night, like if somebody coming 2 o'clock in the morning from an ambulance.
Yeah, they go Martin have a lot of calls then, huh?
All right, I'm saying, Dr. Boudram, Lakram Boudram, where were you 10 to 2015? That's going on long time. So all you now want to change it? Really? Nah, man. Have a blessed day.
All right, there you go. Thank you.
Just for some clarification, the Freedom of Information Act only applies to public authorities. It will not apply to unions and private entities.
Okay. Good morning.
You mentioned that you're going to get up.
Morning, gentle people.
Good morning.
Morning, gentle people. I want to find out with the salary of a president general of a trade union, because they're making noise about people pay. I want to find out how are these people, or how are these fellas in these high position in the union being paid? Because everybody making noise about the prime minister's salary and the prime minister's salary. So that's the question I want to ask. So probably you might have some information now.
Each trade union may have a different package for their leaders.
Yeah.
I sure he's mounting up to some hundred or something thousand. I'm boasting about that.
I'm not sure about that, but
well, just do some inquiry.
I don't think it's inconsequential.
No, but what I'm saying, they're fighting on the prime minister's salary, but they're not watching theirs. Have a nice morning, gentlemen.
All right, have a good one. Good morning.
Hey, Steve and fellas, what's up?
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, man. I wanted to call out with that the Syrians, the children coming back home, and there are other countries who have brought home, and I read the paper on Sweden example, and the thing about it is what they did, even the ones who were radicalized, is the placement and the psychosocial assistance they were given, and a sustained psychosocial assistance over a period of time. It is not come bring back the children and just drop them in the back and just leave them alone. That is not how it's going to be done or should be done. So this kind of fear thing that people have is obviously some kind of treatment has to be invested in bringing them back home. And a lot of the things, there have been success rates. All of them, all the people, all the countries that have brought back the thing, because things have changed. And they have changed. But if you bring them back home and leave them in hostile in a thing, just think with all the trauma they have to gone through, obviously it would affect them. That happens to almost the Brudram child who witnessed the murders of the thing there. He think the sister was all right, but he going through his traumas. So everybody who witnessed trauma have to be thing, and we have to understand that as a community, that when they come back, we have to support them. And if we can't support vulnerable children or vulnerable young adults or whatever, but fearing that, oh, they will come back and become terrorists or criminals like everybody else in Trinidad who becoming criminals, and
They don't need to be. They don't need to leave here to become criminal and have terrorist
yeah,
tendencies.
yeah, I know. So I find there's a kind of fear mongering and red herring running down a rabbit hole, that thing. But what we need to speak about it is in how we are supporting them with the psychosocial support that is it's supposed to kick in and kick in on a thing.
The issue is not the children. The issue is the children are not going to be brought back without a parent or guardian who may be the one who is already radicalized.
Yeah.
You can't prejudge an 8-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old's whole life.
No, I don't think you should. But the papers I've been reading that countries who have brought back, even the adults, have always been have been successful in that, and that's because they have implemented that type of and I think that one, if I find it, I'll drop it on your WhatsApp. But that one, it was interesting how they did it, because they went into the details of how they went about in bringing back home. There are a lot of countries of young people, teenagers who up themselves. So when they came back as adults, in the fight, not children who were just on the side. They were one, and they took them back home, and they took back the young children. But majority of them were radicalized teenagers who went, and they brought them back, and they provided them with that. The whole community is a whole situation they went down, and how they went about it, and they have had, a good turnout on that. So I think we need to, just as much as we here, it have research about young children facing trauma in certain communities who hearing gunshots on regular basis. It was a psychological research done in thing, and they're facing that trauma because they're living in a war zone, just hearing shots, and they're already affected. 8 years and 7 years affected by it. In Trinidad, they haven't even leave to go anywhere, but they're traumatized. But we need to learn that we need psychosocial assistance for everybody in this country. Yeah, man.
All right. Take care. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, big guy.
Hi. I'm going to be very short. The two gentlemen who called with respect to the union president general and their salaries. There's a difference between the union general salaries and the prime minister. The union president did not tell the public, listen, you take 4 and hold on, but I'm going to take 47. That's the difference. They talk about the president, no president, no union told their workers, listen, you hold on, no salary increase here, but I'm going to take a big increase. That is the difference with the prime minister and the union workers. The prime minister works for $8,000 US in Trinidad. In Jamaica, it's $5,000 US. And he was offered, the Jamaican prime minister offered a salary of 200% increase last year. And he said, no, now is not the time for that. They should have given us a salary of $15,000 US per month. Okay, so the difference is, that's your check. At least I'm going to check the figures and see what's going on. 200, which would put him at his salary would have been 27 million Jamaican a month, 27 million a year. Okay, so those who are talking about the union didn't say whole strain, but I'm going to take a raise. The prime minister said whole strain, but I'm going to take a raise. That's the difference. Have a good day, gentlemen.
All right, big guy. Thank you so much. Good morning, caller.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Yeah, I just want to say that in respect to that salaries thing, the Jamaican Prime Minister actually was the second person in the parliament to say that he wouldn't take. The opposition leader went out first and said that he would only take 20% of the proposed increase until they settle up with the public servants. And the prime minister, as a politician, followed the opposition leader, and he didn't say he wouldn't take it, He said he wouldn't take it now, So we have to look at these things now. As on that, I could also verify that trade union leaders work for salaries in the range that the gentleman mentioned, which was
So I'm looking at an article here that on December 8th, 2014, which says, and I can verify its authenticity, but Mr. Roger's monthly salary from the OWTU is $45,000 a month, and the union has provided him with a chauffeur-driven Audi A4. But I can't verify if that is actually accurate.
All right, well, let me add something to that. I don't live too far from Mr. Roger. And when I look at that 3-story mansion, I hear him talking about labor issues and working class people, particularly with black vehicles in the driveway. I wonder how people could follow trade union leaders when that's the kind of narrative they're putting over and you're seeing how they actually live. Now, I really called to talk about the local government issue. Now, there was an example of manhole covers missing in Chaguanas. Now, I want to say this. I have had interactions with councillors throughout the country in respect to local government issues. And a lot of the information is not available to the public. So a simple thing like this. There's a meeting at local government, which is called a coordinating committee meeting. And at that meeting, you generally would have representatives at a fairly middle management level. Sometimes if the council demands, the head could come on all. But generally, you would find senior officers there in the meeting, and all these matters come up. But they come up in the context of, even if it's a local government responsibility, sometimes if it's urgent, they could just coordinate and the central government will do it because, hey, this kind of dangerous and we will do that and we will reconcile the finances after and, that kind of discussion. But it's not to say that there's not an ongoing cooperation, but I think the councillors themselves, a lot of them kind of fall down on the task in that they just come to the meetings and they don't really engage in because even though I am not a councillor, where I live in Princestown, I'll give you an example. The lights on the ground, they weren't functioning. And I could talk to somebody and say, hey, only let Tiantec fix that up now. And the person who's familiar with the process will look at it, and since then Tiantec come and see the lights, and if they have to build the corporation, they will build them after. So there are mechanisms for that. The problem is the funding. A lot of people don't realize that most local government authorities budget less than 20% and maybe closer to 10 goes to development, to fix your road, to do this, to do that. The bulk of the money goes to recurrent expenditure, paying people, buying stuff to keep the processes
But
going.
isn't that exactly why they support people paying property tax now to increase that fundage availability?
Yeah, no, with that, what that would do, while it would increase the funding, not substantially, what it would increase is the money flow, because the corporation will have access to some money that it could negotiate with the bank. That is something that happened in San Fernando under former CEO Marlene Kudry. And it was when she did those things, it appeared to the central government that, hey, you stepping out the box. You're doing some things that not necessarily legal.
Yeah. All right.
But ultimately, they accept that concept, and that's what they're trying to introduce, to give local government more flexibility in how they could do the development.
All right.
Have a good day, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you.
Same to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Oh, you wake up.
Good morning.
Yeah, wake up. And there was a gentleman who called some time when you all were voting, and he had to call back. That gentleman, I want to send him to the head of the class this morning. He expressed my sentiments for me. I don't know if people will recall what all he said, but one point he raised, and he was the first one asked about the union men's salary. And people are saying that, others saying they shouldn't ask. I feel they should ask. Because apart from your union salary, aren't you or weren't they workers in an office or government or private enterprise before? That salary is not included as well, the pension. So I don't see what the worry is about, that they're making this hullabaloo about all the rest of people that's supposed to get the increase from the Prime Minister down. And that is why when I was working, I left the union, because as they march up and down and you negotiate, and as you get the money, your union dues going up. You understand? Plenty too. So that's why when I was working, I left the bloody PSC union.
Let me add one thing to the conversation. In the UK, yesterday, it was stated by Downing Street, which is the office of the Prime Minister, that public sector workers will only get above inflation pay increases if they improve productivity.
I want to make my second point. That big bacchanal that is taking place in Tobago is the ego. Pardon me?
Go ahead.
Yeah. The men in the Tobago is that the egos, they want to inflate the egos. And you see this House of Assembly thing that came up, and they passed this House of Assembly Act. I am calling on Dr. Rowley and the government to scrap that bloody House of Assembly in Tobago. There was a ministry for Tobago Affairs that was running Tobago Affairs. All it needed to do was to be a little more efficient. And it was going down for all the years. But men who had ambition came up with this House of Assembly.
You know what?
That if you can't, there is one government.
You're not sounding like what you're saying is accurate.
How do you mean?
You were saying there was a ministry for Tobago Affairs before the Tobago Assembly Act was enacted?
Yes.
You sure about that?
I worked in the ministry for Tobago Affairs.
Before the Tobago House of Assembly Act was enacted, or while the Tobago House were running parallel to the Tobago House of Assembly Act?
No, not while. I said it was before. And then some bright people, I can't remember if it's the N.R. Robinson or Davidson and them before, that wanted and fought, coming right down to Hochoi Charles, who was very adamant and warring about the Tobago House of Assembly. And then they passed that act that formed the Tobago House of Assembly. And since then, the warring start. That whole thing needs to be scrapped. And they need to go back to the ministry. It's just like it was a ministry. But you see, the people who have ambition, they want to be a prime minister of a country. So all that you hear, what's going on with that bill and that act? People are hungry for power, and you have your citizens suffering. Tobago didn't need all that. It was going very good. It's just that certain things had to come to Trinidad to get done and all, and it still have to be done. The people were ambitious and greedy, and they wanted that to govern the set. You heard, I listened to Mr. Duke yesterday. Duke don't even know what he wants. He and Farley carrying the same head. He shouldn't even ask Farley to apologize because his behavior wasn't good. Let me tell you something. You hear what they fool the people had, and it have certain people from Trinidad went to Tobago and had meetings and trying to show the Tobagonians where boundaries are for oil and gas and all that. They get bright, so they feel that they could get revenue and they could run the country. People, Tobagonians, I'm telling you all, think and think again. They don't need any House of Assembly. It needs to be scrapped.
I'm glad you can sit down in a room and decide that you don't need any House of Assembly.
Yes, Paul, it was that way.
I'm glad you could sit down and decide for
Join.
the Tobago that they don't need any assembly and there should be a ministry. I'm very happy you could do that.
Just like how the men they feel that they want to be. You remember when Duke was campaigning? He said we don't want no stupid House of Assembly. We want full autonomy. We want secession. We want
Okay, all right. Okay.
So they're power hungry.
All right, Zena.
That is what's causing all this bacchanal. Scrap it. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. I got a headache there.
Good morning.
Yes. Pleasant morning.
Morning.
That's Steve Khan, Richard Ragoobarsingh, Port Richard.
Yeah, Mr. Patrick.
Good morning, Mr. Patrick.
This people and them who leave Trinidad and join ISIS to fight war for $1,000 US. That was some years back. And it's had an issue when Nafisa Mohammed asked the government was to repatriate the people back to Trinidad and Tobago. From what I understand from the BBC News, they say all the men who leave Trinidad to go and fight with ISIS, all of them die. So now they say the ladies and the children was in some camps. But them children is big children now, right? Do we have any laws in order to repatriate people who went to fight in some terrorist organization? Mr. Ragoobarsingh?
No, you mean to bring them back? If we have a law concerning that?
All right. You leave your country to go and fight in a terrorist organization, right? It's not to leave your country and you went away and the deported.
But we have no law concerning the return, which is hence the problems that they are experiencing with regard to repatriation. We don't have a law specifically that deals with that situation specifically.
And Mr. Patrick, the request is not for the men who left to go and fight the war. The request surrounds the issues of the children.
And the mothers. That's because they live in...
What motivates... I guess that's the power of religion and stuff. What motivates a mother to carry children into a war zone and that kind of life at tender ages is beyond me. Because you know, the instincts of mothers and parents generally, I shouldn't be restricted to mothers, is to protect children and to protect them from anything that will be harmful or expose them to the horrible side of humanity.
But it's a lot more complex than that, because at the end of the day, it's primary radicalization and what's described as secondary radicalization, where some of these women are conflicted between their duties to their husbands and marriages, and being caught up in that wave where the husband is the primary person going to fight, deciding to be radicalized and going to fight. And the wives don't feel they have a choice in some instances, or in some instances choose to follow their husbands along the path.
But there's also an economic factor to it, Paul. There was money being paid. There was money being paid too.
Mr. Richard Ragoobarsingh, another point. I listened to you talk this morning about Arima. What's going on with this Omera Road, boy? I have some friends leave Trinidad about 2 years back and they come back on the road in a mess, the same medicine.
I don't understand why that Omera Road improvement is taking so long. Every time, and let me tell you something, Mr. Patrick, sometimes I'm driving, coming from wherever in the night, or I'm coming, and when I say night, it could be 7 o'clock, and I take that Omera Road, and when you turn into Omera Road, you start to lack confidence as a driver about which route to actually take, because the signage is not always very clear. So sometimes they want the traffic heading into Arima to use a particular lane, and the traffic that's coming out of Arima is using another lane. And sometimes drivers get confused. So sometimes some drivers are on the lane of the people that are trying to exit.
Like by St. Joseph was, sir.
Yeah, no, this is different to that, Paul.
That works, boy.
Sometimes, you know what? I prefer, Mr. Patrick, that I have drivers in front of me, So I just follow in their tail lights.
Because,
So I couldn't, because it's not well lit. It's not well lit. So once they're in front of me, I say, okay, somebody in front of me, thank God, let them work out the problem, and I will just follow them. Because sometimes, anytime you have to pass there, you always kind of get a little bit lacking in confidence about where exactly do I turn. But you're right, the development of that road, and I'm not saying that work is not going on because I see people there, but it's taking way too long.
Mr. Politician, when are they in the market?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you repeat that?
He said, but last he went to the market.
Saturday morning, gone.
What going on with these prices, mate?
Well,
Christmas?
It's weird because 2 weeks ago, I don't know, it's weird. 3 weeks ago, ginger went down to reasonable prices, and now ginger going back up. Tomatoes went down to reasonable prices. Tomato going back up. I usually buy Kingfish. It fluctuates. Zena, I'm being told that you are correct. I apologize. So I put it out there so you could stop on the chat now about the history of the assembly. And so I don't know. And now that Christmas is drawing closer, I'm sure the prices are going to increase even more.
The price of these things going up very high.
Yeah.
I wonder how much going to be for a chicken for Christmas, right?
But if you can buy it now.
All right, thanks, Mr. Patrick.
Or according to Zena, raise your own poultry.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, morning, gentlemen. Mr. Khan, I want to direct this call. I know you're the person that usually makes the call. I have heard from Watson Duke. I've heard from the minority leader. Is there any possibility we could hear from the leader of the House?
No, since he gets elected, he don't talk to us again. He don't take the call again. He used to take the call all the time.
Let me tell you, let me explain something for you.
Yes, okay.
Before he was elected, you could have called him 10 times a day, my boy, picking up phone, all kind of thing. Bam, he in office. Phone ringing off the hook.
Who's this you're talking about?
You see what happened? I've been listening to the Parliament. I listened to the AG in the press conference. And to me, what you can everybody say in the piece, at least if you get Faith Israel or one of them, because I mean...
Yeah, I got her number last night, actually.
To be asking people if he should apologize for the statement. He didn't have an opportunity to be represented. Yes. And I want to just make this comparison. As compared to previous leaders of the assembly who tried Charles and all these vociferous guys. I mean, it isn't fair to him. He may have his styling and so over in London, and yes, they did. This thing is going on since 2007, I think. And now you present it, he don't have a say. And he had to send messages now by way of text to the opposition leader they represent. When he went with West and East representatives of Tobago, Farley Augustine was the man who raised the issue twice. They asked him that in the press conference. He used a political strategy and ducked that question. And the man, at least he should have a say whether what his name saying he should be diplomatic. Yeah, he's young in the business and he might need a little polishing and some emerying and so forth. Mm-hmm. But give him the right because he's the leader. You're bringing the minority leader. You're bringing Mr. Benoit and all of them. These people voted and they won 14 how much? So why not hear from them? I feel it's disingenuous to be going along this line because it's like PNM rule or wherever Tobago or Trinidad. And Mr. Richards is independent. I like his styling. Even when he questioned the commissioner, people say he was out of place. But look what it brought. So sometimes questions make changes. And if we want to see change, we had to come with the hard and fast questions and let these people. I love Paul's styling. Let's try to duck Paul in a political way to dance and run up the time to escape the question. But Paul does bring them back in line. So I find, that kind of juxtaposing could be done in other areas to get a fair deal. Right? I don't know if that makes sense, but
I listen to you all every day, and it is somely not just you all alone. I find media press conferences as be a kind of way bias along a certain line, so as not to mash the toes of certain individuals. I don't know if there's repercussion to your line of questioning down the road, but to me it comes over like that. Thank you, gentlemen, for this opportunity to share. You all have a blessed day.
All right.
Thanks. You have a good day.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I want to tell a story about something I know personally. I have a friend whose husband invited her. Her brother was told them that he was going to Mecca, right? To pick up his wife and children and told them they're going to Mecca. Invited my friend to visit Mecca. Invited their mother to visit Mecca. They were telling you, for some reason, my friend, my best friend at the time, and the mother decided, hey, I'm too busy, I can't go. Next thing you know, is because they were told, they were informed that the brother fighting for ISIS. So I said all that to say that in this particular situation, and I would imagine in others, and maybe a lot of other situations, families or wives are duped into going and fighting for ISIS. Right? Now, when they got there, the mother and children immediately went to an isolation camp because she realized we're not in Mecca, and she kind of ran away from the first stop. So they were sent to a camp. I happened to be working with Gary Griffith as Minister of National Security at the time, and he was a significant part to repatriating the wife and children. They are happily and well integrated back into Trinidad and Tobago. So I don't like to hear when people start to propagate the myth that when you bring back people, you're bringing back terrorists and you're bringing back radicalized people. Some of these people, they had no intention of going to fight for ISIS, or no intention of going there in the first place. They were hoodwinked, and as Paul rightly said, is the love for the husband and want to keep the marriage and want to have the family together is why they end up going and supporting
in some cases.
In some cases, right? So we mustn't be pushing that agenda that we're bringing back radicalized people.
Ben, can I hear you? And what you're saying is accurate. But on the other side, the country also has to protect the national security interests of citizens who live here.
I understand that, right? But I'm simply saying that Mr.
Well, two things can be right in some instances, eh?
Yes. Mr. Chinsi was also correct when he said 100% of the men that left here to fight for ISIS are now deceased. So we are talking only of the spouses, who some of which may have gone there ended up there involuntarily, and their children who would have been 4, 5, 6 at the time, that are maybe now 16 or whatever the case may be, that may not be heavily indoctrinated because, as I said, in the situation that I am aware about, they were sent up, they recognized what was going on early in the game, and they were in a concentration camp and an isolation camp early in the game, never saw any fight, never put up no gun to fight for nobody, and was not in fact radicalized.
All right.
So I understand what you're saying about the security of the country, the citizens, but thing. And one other thing before I go, the creek is another road that we need to talk about. I went to Point Fortin this weekend, and
quickly, you have 20 seconds.
I was mortified at that 100 and something, maybe 800 feet of road. 8 years now, still hasn't been fixed.
Lincoln, maybe this country needs to realize that that path through the creek may not be appropriate for road.
Maybe that. I thought that when they were doing it in the first place.
No matter who's in power, it never seems to work out. Have a great day, everyone.
I thought that
thank you, Lincoln.
All right. But countries build all kind of road through all kind of sea and all kind of lake and river. We can't fix 800 feet of a road that borderlining the sea. And we have an engineering division of the University of the West Indies in UWI. Let them do just homework.
Let's go.
Have a fantastic day, whatever you do. Just reminding you, of course, that the weekend begins tonight. People at a second after midnight. Have a fantastic day, and speak to you bright and early tomorrow morning, which will be Friday. And you know we love a Friday.
Yeah.
We love a Friday.
Yeah.
So have a great one.
All right. Thank you, Rich. And just a reminder, the Pet Butler on El Socorro Road, Dr. Gooding from Pet Oasis will be in tomorrow. So he's our in-house veterinarian at the pet supply store. So you can call 610-8725 to book an appointment or WhatsApp 710-8725. All right, let's get into our, it did it again, Evie. It did it again. All right, let's get into our 8 o'clock news brief because Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Time for your news update to 8 o'clock. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning. The EBC admitted yesterday that the voters' lists in just over half of the constituencies will be completed by early 2025 through its national field verification exercise, which began in mid-2023. Meaningful and productive is how Attorney General Reginald Armour described a meeting held on Wednesday with stakeholders to get feedback relating to the operations of the Registrar General's sub-office in Tobago. The National Transformation Alliance welcomes the confirmation CARICOM election observers will be present for the upcoming general election. NTA believes their presence strengthens transparency, deters electoral misconduct, and ensures public confidence in the outcome. And a 4.8 earthquake was recorded in Trinidad around 2:26 p.m. on Wednesday. The University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center says the tremor had a depth of 32 kilometers. Well, that was your update to 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full at 12 noon. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital. Christmas is all about family, at home and abroad.